Welcome, golf fans, pursuers of knowledge and the almighty dollar. This is your golf guru bringing you the Sentry Tournament of Champions. This is my Before the Lock show, and of course, I'm going to get you ownership projections, weather, going to give you my top picks in the 6,000 range, and we're going to cover some different models that I didn't go over. So, a lot of good information I'm going to provide you guys in a very short time frame. So, let's do this. Okay, real quick, if you missed my prize picks from yesterday, I'm just going to go over this real fast. Of course, if you've not signed up, do so now. They are still offering the 100% match up to $100. Use my promo code GolfGuru. And the picks that I'm going with are greens in regulation is the format, and they're doing over-under, large, the largest greens on the PGA Tour. So I like Victor Hovland to hit over, Kawa over 14.5. So we need Victor to have 15, Morikawa to have 15 greens. Koepka, he can get 14, he's in. And then Jordan Spieth, again, going off his iron play that we knew of before coming off this break, he was a little shaky, so I got him as the under. I've got to pick an under. He's the guy I'm going with. You could also pick Patrick Reed. And then for the whole tournament, you can also do finishing place, and I like Collin Morikawa to finish 9th or better. I think Jordan Spieth will actually finish over 13th, so 14th and worse. Victor Hovland also to finish better than 9th place or better. And then last but not least, throw Patrick Reed over the 13th. So that is my prize picks. Of course, all the information I'm providing, you guys can make your own. But if you've not signed up, again, great way to diversify your funds. All right, let's move on. So real quick, just a quick update. You're going to notice in DraftKings that Mr. Camera Champ is out of the tournament, which is kind of sad for him. Especially also I had a bet on him, which has been voided due to his testing positive for COVID. So just note to self, if for some odd reason you put in lineups already and haven't checked them, make sure you get Camera Champ out. And then as always, I watch the pressers, anything I can get on that. And I'll just give you some quick notes, some things that I found important or at least interesting. Yeah, Jordan Spieth, you know what I totally forgot about is 6 weeks ago, he became a new dad for the first time, and which also kind of coincided with the Hero Challenge. So no shocker that he struggled there. So that might be something that, you know, we need to think about. If you are a dad, you understand when you have it for a first-time dad, it's life-changing, and no shocker. Of course, Rob dealt with that not too long ago. Of course, spent some time off, well, at least a solid couple months of no golf since the Ryder Cup. What I would think was interesting in his presser is he is putting into play a new driver. He's also, I don't know if he's putting the fairway woods in, but he is testing them out. And what I thought was most interesting, if you look at his past performance here, it's not been the greatest out of a 40-man field typically. And he mentioned that, he has struggled with the slow greens. He's used to fast greens, of course. Everybody is. He lives in Arizona where he practices and plays as fast, typically where these guys play on the PGA Tour. You got fast greens, and because of how windy it can get here, these greens run around 10 to 10.5, which is, definitely a difference, quite slower than what they're used to. I also thought it was interesting he mentioned that the wind, when it's kicking up to 20 miles an hour, can definitely mess with him. So just something to think about. Also coming off, like I said, that 2-month break, and he mentioned his first 2 weeks he did not touch a club, and then started still went to the gym, but started hitting some balls, playing some rounds with his friends. But again, we have no idea with some of these guys what kind of form they're coming in with. As I stated, I'm going with the guys that I know have played some fall swing golf. I feel better about that. There's always rust to kick off. And then last, Xander talked about how he got into the TOC. He did not win a tournament in 2021, but of course he won the gold medal. So him, well, not him, but a couple other PGA, his colleagues, really pushed for him to get in. And I agree. I think he deserves it. I've seen other people get in due to where their standing was in the FedEx rankings. And then also, just noted that, of course, Austin did not get a gold medal, even though, it is quite a partnership out there. So he got him a gold ring, which was really nice. Of course, Xander won here back in 2019 in the playoff. I believe it was a playoff, but I think it came down to like Woodland and Reed, but I could be getting it mixed up. But long story short, he is also, which a lot of these guys are, putting a new driver and a new ball into play for the first time in, PGA competition. So you never know how that goes. The only thing I think about that, if you are a golfer, if you try something at the range, it goes really well, right? You put it into actual play where maybe you have some kind of competition, some dollars on the line, maybe you're in your league, and it starts to go a little sideways and you're not sure where it's going, you're going to lose confidence in it really quick. Now, if you're playing with a driver you've had for years and you've hit it really well all the time, you kind of go, okay, somewhere in my swing, something's went a little sideways. I'm not going to blame the driver or, so the other thing he noted, which I thought was interesting in 2021, was that his wedge play, so if you think about 120 yards in, was definitely off comparative in past, and also even his chipping, something that he really, has been working on and, wants to get more consistent, right? He said he just kind of was all over the map with that. So anyways, on a side note, that's it. I don't think there was anything else to get you guys up to date, but hey, I recommend, if you have the time, I do this for you guys because typically these are 30-minute interviews. You can find them on 10 Golf, TEN Golf on YouTube if you want to check them out on your own. All right, so there's a couple models I did not run that I wanted to run for you guys that I think is important. Typically, when you're in a no-cut event, I think it's always good to look just another reference point on how these guys do in no-cut events. So if you want to understand what that would be, right? So the CJ Cup, the Zozo was recent. That was no-cut events. And then, of course, the FedEx Cup. I believe, what is it? The BMW and the Tour Championship is no-cut. But the Northern Trust, again, going off memory, is a cut event. So neither here or there. What you're seeing here, I only pulled up the last 3 tournaments they played in a no-cut format, put it against a model that I think is important for this, to win the Tournament of Champions. And funny enough, the number 1 guy came up was Brooks Koepka, which I told you guys I have a bet on. Also, I think he's going to be pretty low owned. We're going to look at ownership, but I think I haven't even looked at it yet. He's going to be pretty low owned, and I think he's a good pivot play. It could do very well. I think his game has come back some, everything that I've been seeing. I see, little hints of Brooks coming back. Then, of course, you got Cantlay Thomas, always does well in no-cut events. Same with Xander. And all these guys do have at least 12 events. So, of course, with this recent, you're going to see EVR right here. And that's because he had an amazing FedEx Cup playoff. And also, I think he had a pretty good showing either at the Zozo or the CJ Cup. But, yeah, just to give you the top 10 guys within the last 3 tournaments we've had in a no-cut event format, how these guys fared. And then the other one that I was interested in, because, it kind of made me think after I listened to Mr. John Rahm talk about how hard it is to get acclimated or how long it might take to get used to very slow greens, especially Bermuda greens, where you can get, that grain running different ways. And you got to be real. That's why guys are better on Bermuda than other, is that they could see the change. Are you going against the grain? Are you going with the grain? There is, like I said, there is some slope and there is some bend to these putts, but they're not crazy. But where I'm getting to is I wanted to pull up the last 24 rounds these guys have played on slow or average speed Bermuda greens. And so with that said, funny enough, Phil Mickelson came up number 1. And that's a good thing because I've got a bet on Phil, and I also am going to talk about him a little bit further in the show. But he's number 1. You got Cantlay. Matt Jones is interesting. Of course, another Australian had that win at the Honda, good in the wind. He's priced at bare men. Trying to think anybody else pops out that's kind of interesting to me. And of course, Harris English, who won here. Of course, that pulls in this course when you run this kind of model. And, but, I just think Harris, who knows? Maybe he got something fixed over the last month or so. But last couple times we've seen him, it's been a wreck. Okay, so let me jump out. Let's go over ownership projections, weather, and then we'll come back and I'll wrap it up and get you guys my top 6,000 plays. Okay, so jumping over to Fantasy National. Actually, there's one more thing I wanted to share with you before we get into ownership projections I think you're going to want to see. And it was just something real quick. I also wanted to just see who's been the best putter on Bermuda for the last 24 rounds. Now, I showed a model, I think, in the preview show where this kind of went, but that's a larger sample. This will go specifically over the last, be 6 tournaments or 24 rounds that they played. And 10 guys pop up that gain over a half a stroke when putting on Bermuda over the last 6 tournaments. And that's a little bit, but the short of it is recent form, who's been really good on Bermuda. You got DeChambeau, again, which I mentioned, who won the Arnold Palmer. That's Bermuda gaining over a half stroke. You got Sam Burns, which, we all think of Bermuda Burns. Almost gains, I'd put that close to a stroke on the field when putting on Bermuda. So that's why typically when we see him in the Florida swing, we always get excited about playing Sam Burns. You've got Cam Smith, which we all know is a great putter. Actually gains, over the last 6 tournaments, gained even more than Burns. Again, close to a stroke, 0.88 against the field when he's on Bermuda. Abe Answer, which, if you look kind of his 2021 season, a lot of what he did was with the putter. It wasn't so much the irons, where it used to be always with Abraham Answer. It was the irons. Still a good iron player, but you just had some crazy putting outings when he won like the WGC St. Jude. Again, he gains over a half a stroke against the field when on Bermuda. Kokrak just squeezes in there. Like I said, it was a 2021 season, the year of the putting for Kokrak. But is another guy that when he's on Bermuda over the last 6 tournaments, he's done very well. Mark Leishman, again, I mentioned a lot like Cam Smith, very similar, a little cheaper. I think their game is really similar, why they play very well in the kind of Zurich match plays together. But again, he gains over 8.82, so almost a stroke against the field on Bermuda, showing up over his last 6. Billy Ho, just right at the line. Like I said, there were some guys that were, still positive on Bermuda, but I wanted the guys that were significant. And then you got Garrick Higo, again, who I think is a good play. And we're going to talk a little bit about Garrick. And last but not least, the other guy that fell in there was Brandon Grace, which nobody's talking about. I mean, that wouldn't be a bad, we'll look at ownership projections, but I have a feeling that he's going to be very low owned. Well, you can see right here, right now it's coming in at less than 5% owned. Okay, with that said, let's go talk about ownership projections. All right, so as always, I'll just give you a quick tutorial of how this gets calculated. So this is using Fantasy National, where people, pick their favorites. They pick, but the guys that I want to look at is who actually generated a lineup, not guys that just click this little star here. And so, number 1 owned right now is Justin Thomas, which was, one of my number 1 guys in, which a little shocking. Sungjae Im's coming in next. You got Xander, Cam Smith, one of my picks. Mark Leishman, we just talked about. Daniel Berger, Burnsy, one of my picks. Gooch. You got Reed. That's a little shocking because I think for the price, it's a good, not a bad play, but I will not be playing Reed. Off him, he's my fade. John Rahm. So there's your number 1 guy, but, only at 21% ownership. When I say only, remember, we got a field of now 38 guys due to Mr. I keep thinking Cameron Champ. I was thinking Cam Davis and would not get out of my head. Okay. Morikawa, Spieth. Spieth is interesting. Again, I mentioned one back here in 2016. Of course, his game was finally tuned. I think my own perception is you got the baby thing. I also think he's still mentioning he's working on the swing. I don't know if he's 110% confident. So I'm a little bit fading Spieth. DeChambeau's kind of interesting at less than 20%. Damon, I think, is not a bad play at that price tag. I picked Seamus Power. We're going to talk very briefly about him. Hideki, I've always stated, great play. It's all if the putter goes. Patrick Cantlay for 9,700. That's kind of interesting if you want to start there. Also shocked that Victor's right now here saying 17%. Then you got Kokrak, Answer, and Kim. So let's go look at, I'm going to work my way. Well, we can just do it this way too. Let's see who's the least owned. And this is kind of interesting. So Stewie Sink, I think he's 200 to 1 odds. Literally Stewie Sink, if you go back, he was the only player to have 2 or 3 wins in 2021. Let me see this. I want to make sure that I'm stating this correctly. It's been a while, but so yeah, okay, he won the RBC. And then, so they kind of felt like it was same kind of year. The Fortinet, which would be the Safeway. Why do I feel like he had a 3rd win and I'm not seeing it, but it doesn't matter. Okay. Anyway, so, it hasn't been that far removed where Stuart Sink has won multiple times. So again, to throw a few bucks on a bet, I don't think is a problem. Cameron Champ, of course, not in, so we have to worry about him. Lucas Glover won the John Deere. You got Matt Jones, who I think is an interesting play at this price. I was kind of in and out on him. Actually, we'll discuss my 6Ks, but, the form hasn't been great, but if you go look at the history of Matt Jones where he's done well, it has been on Bermuda courses. It's had some success on kind of the island swing tour. If it's the Bermuda or Corrales, of course, weaker field, but can handle the winds. But right now, I mean, just an overview, the wind doesn't look like it's going to be there for this, at least what's projected right now. Phil Mickelson, I actually think is a really interesting play. I'm not a big Phil guy, but everything is telling me that Phil, if you think about how he scores, I mentioned very streaky, and you don't get dinged as bad on bogeys, crazy wide open fairways. He's got the distance. It's all going to come down to the putter. But you saw that over the last 6 tournaments on Bermuda slow, he's been good. See anything else sticks out? Garrick Hago at 10%. That's kind of true. I think there's Brooks. That's what I wanted to really see. I think he's a great play at 8,500 at 10%. I think, like I said, I got a bet on him. I will definitely be using him in some of my lineups. I don't plan on putting a ton of lineups together, more high dollar stuff to kind of, narrow the field. But there's going to be the possibility of duplicated lineups, right? When you have a field now of 38. So you're going to have to find some leverage, and that's why we're going through this. So you can see Tony Finau at 12%. He could be unique. KH Lee, I kind of like. Cam Davis, you can make an argument for how well he scores on par fives and his length and just a great ball striker. It's just a short game, and putting could just be disastrous. But of course, he had the win at the Rocket Mortgage, his first win. Okay, I think that gives you enough understanding of how to differentiate if you want to get a little different. It's also, how you construct your builds. But if you're looking for guys that are less owned, you have that information out. Okay, so of course, this is Wednesday around noon Eastern time. I'm giving you the weather. And again, I always say, go to Windfinder. You're going to want to pull up, there's 2 points that you can pull up. There's the airport in Maui or this Honolulu base, all up to you, but they're both within a few miles of the course. So it doesn't matter. But of course, use Windfinder, especially if you're doing Showdown. You need to reference everything I see right now is they look like they're going to have a great weather. I don't see no rain and no really wind conditions, just steady 6 to 8. That's nothing for these guys. If we go to Friday, it's even less. And these guys are teeing off. So Eastern time, it would be around, I think, 2:45 is when they're teeing off. So for, whatever, take 5 hours off. I'm not even sure what the time, maybe 6 hours. But yeah, so just to give you an idea. But I mean, I don't see anything at all in the weather. Perfect sunny. Wish I was there. 73-degree, perfect golf conditions. So these guys should go out and just terrorize this course. Okay, the guys that I'm looking at. So I already, Seamus Power, I went over yesterday. He is one of my favorite 6,000 picks. Of course, can handle the winds. Been in great form. We don't have the largest sample of, of his history, but he's had a really good 2021. He's just got a good all-around game. The other guy that I liked, and I kind of mentioned this yesterday, but I just wanted to reemphasize, maybe you didn't catch yesterday's show, Garrick Hago, right? Canary Islands win. Super, could go, he's got great distance off the tee. It's the accuracy that can get him in trouble. Of course, won Palmetto. That was Bermuda. Pretty decent sized track. If I remember, it's a par 71, but I guess it's around 7,400 yard track. Let's see here. What else? Over his career, which we don't have a ton of data on him, he gains almost a half stroke when he putts on Bermuda. He could just get super streaky hot with the putter. Of course, there's the Palmetto I talked about where he just everything fired. And then, it's kind of on and off. You can see off the tee, he gains because of the distance, not so much the accuracy. It's the irons that, if he just gains a little bit on the irons, but he can get super hot with the putter. I think for that price tag, I already got a bet on him. I think it was, I'm losing track now, but I think it was like around 100 to 1. And then Phil the Thrill. He was on my cover or thumbnail, what do you want to call it? And, I typically am off Phil, but right, his last win, of course, we all know the shocker at the PGA. As I already mentioned, I showed you the putting on Bermuda, does very well. It shows here, but this is such a long career, but can handle himself if it did get windy. And if we look at what Phil's been doing okay, right? He's gaining off the tee. It's, on and off with the irons. You can see real bad over the last 3 events. But not a bad showing at the, WGC St. Jude. Then we just look at his last, right? He won AT&T Pro-Am, coastal course, different kind of track, right? Shorter. But he always does pretty well at Pebble Beach. We all, if you follow golf, you'll kind of know that. You see one back here. And then, of course, Kiowa, just seeing if anything pops up to me. Let me see where he's had some of his best putting outings and how long. So St. Jude, that's Bermuda. Wells Fargo's or Bermuda. I mean, that's so long ago. Just trying to see anything recent. I think hold on, sorry about this. I think Kiowa, was that past when I was Bermuda? I thought it was for some reason past Palm, but I could be wrong. So it's Bermuda. We're going with it. So last time he had a win was on Bermuda. Anyways, I mentioned this before. Even on the Champions Tour, Phil, where he had his wins there, I told you he picked a couple courses where he could just bomb it wide open. And when he's got that and doesn't have to worry about steering the ball off the tee or clubbing down to the 2-wood or, a hybrid or whatever, the guy, when he's making shots, is so meticulous on every little detail, a little bit like Bryson, right? That's why I think those two get along pretty well. I think it's an interesting play, and of course, to also diversify a little bit. Okay, I think that's all I wanted to share with you guys. Let's go wrap this up, and I'll summarize my favorite $6,000 plays on DFS. Favorite top plays in the 6,000 range for you guys. I already discussed Seamus Power from Ireland, right? European guy, can handle the wind if it does, like I said, right now. And of course, it's coastal, right? So literally that can change on a dime. But right now, everything we know, it looks like it's going to be good conditions. But overall, I like Seamus. All-around game. He's had a great 2021 season, showed up good even in the kind of fall swing event. So at that price tag, I'm playing some Seamus. Garrett Kigo can get crazy hot. It's won on island courses in the past. Typically does well in Bermuda. If he gets a hot putter, it gets those irons firing. I think he could be very live. And of course, these guys, I'm not looking for any of them to honestly win. Top 10 would be great. And of course, Phil the Thrill. From a points perspective, the guy just, even Garrett Kigo, and Seamus Power's not bad either, but I look at Phil as just, like I said, he could string together 3-4 birdies, throw an eagle in there, and then get ready for 3 or 4 bogeys. But of course, birdies way outweigh what you get dinged on a bogey. So hopefully Phil, every time I picked him, it's never really worked out well. I will also state that. It is very rare that I ever pick him. But yeah, I'm gonna plug him in some lineups, and I already have a bet on him. All right, with that said, guys, thanks so much. Have all the best of luck to you guys at the Sentry Tournament of Champions. I'm super psyched to start watching some of this golf. Again, note to self, if you are used to watching PGA Tour Live, that is gone. It was consumed by ESPN Plus. Get signed up for ESPN Plus if you have not, so you can watch coverage. I think they're starting around 3:15, so a little bit after the first tee off. But you're going to get all that coverage that you are not going to see on the Golf Channel, or if this goes on to CBS. I don't think we're going to see it on main TV or the main channels for a while. But hey, click that like button, share, subscribe. I've seen you guys. I'm starting to get more subscribers recently. That's awesome. I'm trying to get to that 1,000 mark. You can be the 1,000th subscriber. I might have to throw a little something in if you are the 1,000th subscriber. Little bonus for that, just kind of unique. And hit me up on YouTube comments if you've got any questions, or on Twitter. Again, keep you guys updated on anything I see coming from the PGA Tour media. And I will talk to you guys later. All the best of luck.